AI has made marketing louder, not better. More content, more automation, more noise. In this talk, we break down why the old playbooks are failing and why building real relationships with your customers is the new competitive advantage. If you're curious what marketing looks like when AI actually understands your customers, we introduce our new software, Context Engines, and why we believe this is the future of marketing.
Marketing has fundamentally changed because of AI. I think a lot of business owners out there right now are feeling very afraid, feeling very left behind because they feel like they don't understand how to apply AI into their business. They are trying, they are failing, they're not necessarily getting the results that they want. And I think that is because they're stuck trying to work the old playbooks, the old systems that work in the information age. We're going to talk about this change of economic era that we're going through. But these old systems, these old playbooks aren't going to work in the world of AI. They are trying to do more content, more outreach, more ads. They're using AI to accelerate the things that have worked for them in the past. They are ignoring the true power of AI. They aren't building AI native marketing systems. They are just creating noise, essentially. I think you've all experienced this. You've seen the AI generated comments on LinkedIn. You probably get played like I do with the AI generated DMs, outreach, and emails. As this noise goes up in the world, it gets harder and harder to stand out. Your marketing efforts need to be different. You cannot do more of the same because you get lost in that noise. And the reason you're going to get lost in that noise is that everyone has the creative power of a studio like Disney Pixar in their back pocket. With a simple prompt, you can create a 5-10 minute, pretty convincing, compelling movie at this point in time. You can create with a simple notebook LM an entire podcast that you can send to your customers. You can generate endless amounts of content. You can clone your voice like my team have, and they use that to voice over B-roll footage when I'm too busy to make content. It is easier than ever to make content, and we have more content than ever being created. And when we have more of anything, we get an economic law come into place, the decreasing marginal utility. As there is more content, that content is less valuable with every new piece of content that is created. And to illustrate this, if you were to run 20 kilometers and at the end of that race, I'm sat there, I've got a beautiful burger stand, beautiful juicy burger, and you are running towards it, you'd probably pay quite a lot after 20 kilometers for that burger. That one unit is pretty valuable to you in that moment of time. But once you've eaten that, if I tried to sell you the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth burger, your value of that unit goes down and down and down. There is a point where I can't sell you any more burgers. That is what's going to happen with content online. It is going to be almost impossible to stand out because it doesn't require bravery, organization, and resources now to start a podcast, to be a LinkedIn influencer, to have a YouTube channel. People are going to have digital twins of themselves that are doing whole podcast episodes as if they're filmed in person without ever having meeting and not putting any effort in there. When the market moves in a direction, when everyone moves in that direction, we always get this decreasing marginal utility happening and playing out. That process gives you an opportunity though. When everyone zigs, you zag. Your job as an entrepreneur is to stand out. Your job as an entrepreneur is to be different, find the contrarian view, and be an early mover into the that aren't massively oversaturated and overpopulated. This requires bravery from you guys as business owners, as marketers, as entrepreneurs. It requires you to take the risk, because once it's safe, once it is obvious, the opportunity has gone. And the people who are going to be the big winners in this disruption are going to be the ones that move early, that are brave enough to get off the fence, actually jump in and start using AI in an AI native way, not just trying to do the same old stuff that they've always done. This is your job as a business owner, as a marketer. Get rid of the old playbooks, reanalyze your entire customer journey from start to finish, and look at it with the new lens of what AI enables you to do. You can create remarkable customer experiences if you analyze your business in this way. We've been working with businesses for the last 4.5 years here at Minimal Viable Launch and creating product experiences that are AI native that have done 6 figures of revenue in the first 30 days of launching, because we've launched something net new, not the same old, something that is remarkable. It blows people's minds, and that gets distributed like crazy by your customer base. We're going to be talking a lot about context today in this masterclass. Context is king. We used to say content is king, data is king. You've all heard these sayings before. Context is the thing that I am obsessed about in the world of AI. Context is what your AI is incredibly hungry for, and it is the thing that is going to allow you to stand out. The businesses that engineer the best context about their customers and use that to personalize their interactions with their customers at every point in that journey are going to stand out in that sea of same. They're going to stand out in that noisy, messy environment. So a lot of you in here I know already, but for those who have never been to an MVL event, never been to an MVL Minimal Viable Launch Masterclass, who am I? Why should you listen to me about AI and marketing at all? I've been building AI products since 2016, when we used to just call it machine learning. We were in it before the 2017 paper, Attention is All You Need, and the invention of transformer model. I have built AI products that have scaled to millions of users in some of the most sensitive areas you can imagine. We were working, protecting children online, detecting self-harm, abuse, drug dealing, and even working with special government agencies to detect school shootings. I know what it takes to launch AI products in high-stake games and scale them rapidly. I have been working with big businesses such as Octopus Energy and Daniel Priest's Dent Global here in the UK, and also the best-selling author of the best-selling book, The Minimal Viable Launch. Daniel is someone that we work really closely with, and if you know who Daniel Priestley is, he's someone who is a first mover into a lot of new areas that are going to get you a business advantage. He was very early into the game of building a personal profile, personal brand, very early into the recognition that podcasts are a way that you could massively grow your business. And he started his strategic retreat this year with his senior leadership team with a simple image of a tombstone. And he said, if we do not re-examine this entire business from the ground up and build something AI native, we are dead. We are not going to survive, because there are going to be businesses, there are going to be marketers who do that. And we have to integrate, not try to just improve a little bit with AI, rethink everything from a first principles perspective. And that is what we are doing with Daniel. If I'm going to teach you how to really get some wild results in the world of AI and marketing, we need to cover 4 things. We need to look at AI enhanced entrepreneurship. There is a mindset shift that if you make, you will think about AI, you will apply AI in a completely different way in your business. We're going to be talking about context engines. If I'm telling you context is king, we need to build engines in businesses that generate world-class context about our customers day in, day out in a never-ending cycle. If you build one of these in your business, you have an unfair advantage. And I'm not seeing any businesses not lots of business talking about these systems. We're going to talk about personalization pipelines. Once you have that context, it's no good just storing it away, keeping it hidden and secret. You have to use it. You have to use it to supercharge your AI and to make your agents output stuff that blows your customers' minds. That you're going to do that through a personalization pipeline. And we're going to talk about what you need to play this game. Because the hidden secret is your ChatGPT Pro subscription isn't going to be enough, if you exist in this weird copy-paste world that a lot of entrepreneurs exist in, you are going to be outcompeted. You have to go deeper. You're going to have to build some things. You are going to have to take some risks. And if you are brave enough to do that, and it does require bravery, the door is wide open for you to have incredible success. I'm going to be talking to you today a little bit at the end of this talk about a product that we are launching as well called contextengines.ai. I believe that this is such a fundamental shift in the way that businesses are going to do marketing. They're going to interact with their customers through their marketing, sales, and product delivery process, that we are building an entire product that helps you create AI native experiences for your customers and do what we're talking about today. So I'll talk to you a little bit about that. We're looking for our first beta customers. Okay, let's dive into AI entrepreneurship. I think a lot of you are quite selfish as entrepreneurs, as marketers. I have conversations every single week with multiple big businesses that come to me and they say, we want to build some AI into what we do. We want to change the way that we interact with our customers. But the way that they think about applying AI is more content, more barriers between the way that your customers can get in touch with you. Let's put the support chatbot in and we don't have to answer the phone anymore. It's those kind of playbooks that they are obsessed with. They want to reduce the cost. They want to reduce headcount because they want more left over at the end with the profit and loss. I think this misses the true power and promise of AI. It is so boring to me when I have these conversations about creating content with AI. We've been given something that if I told you 10 years ago that you're going to talk to a voice in your phone and it's going to generate reports, websites, it's going to vibe code whole apps, you would look at me like I'm crazy. Like, we are living in the sci-fi future. If any of you have watched the film Her, we're living in that future. And it's unbelievable. And all we're trying to do with it is produce content. We can do so much better than that. So AI enhanced entrepreneurship is a mindset shift. It is thinking about not how can we reduce our costs, fire our team and get rid of people. It is thinking about how can we free up our ability within this business, within our team, to 10x the value that we provide to our customers. How can we do something more remarkable? How can we surprise and delight them? How do I become a high-tech, high-touch business? That is the key. Value in this context and the way that I think about it comes from this very simple realization that your customers exist out there in the world. They have a desired outcome, a desired state that they want to achieve. They want to earn more money in their business. They want to look better, fitter, happier and healthier. They want to grow their social reach. Whatever it is, they have a future state that they want to get into. There we go. That was scary. And they have obstacles that they meet in that way, in getting there. Why is this not working? There we go. They have obstacles that get in their way. That is awesome for you guys. As marketers, as entrepreneurs, it offers you huge amounts of opportunity because those obstacles cause tension. They cause frustration. They are the areas of opportunity that you can build a mini experience, a mini product that will allow you to win some brand equity with that customer because you've given them value. Your job as entrepreneurs, your job as marketers is to create the easiest, frictionless way possible that you can think of to move them towards that desired outcome, solve that problem, and help them get to that desired state. AI transforms your ability to do this. This is what is so fascinating for me about AI. And again, it's not about content. It's about doing things that were previously unfeasible, unscalable, or unaffordable. If you sat with your team around a whiteboard and you had a strategy session and you asked yourself the question, how do we 10x that value that we are providing our customers? And I'm not going to worry about what it costs. I'm not going to worry about if it's technically possible or if I have the people for that process. If you just led with that value, what would you do for them? What would you do that would blow their minds? What did you used to do in the very beginnings of your business, before you had the team and 100 customers knocking on your door, because you probably did some pretty remarkable acts of service. You probably went way further than you do now as you've slimmed down your business to make it more scalable. That is a very interesting place to land. When we ask this question with the businesses that we analyze, we get to some very innovative places. And this is where that true kind of value is created. We are obsessed with finding one thing and one thing only for people's customers. It is burning hair problems. Burning hair problems being problems that are pressing, immediate, and urgent. You can't ignore it. It's like having your head on fire. Every business's customers has these burning hair problems. And what's fascinating for me, I've been a user researcher, user experience designer, earlier in my career, is we would go and speak with these customers and we'd uncover these burning hair problems. And when we solved them, we made millions. And they were never things that were incredibly difficult or unreasonable to solve and build. And I think if more people went and actually did that deep dive analysis, did that deep dive research with their customers, they'd uncover these. And what you innovate around becomes incredibly obvious. When was the last time you sat, not trying to sell, not trying to network, but sat and asked great questions with your customers and really listened to what they responded? Because I guarantee you that there is incredible amounts of innovation that you can uncover just by doing that. Your job as an AI-enhanced entrepreneur, as an AI-enhanced marketer, is to think about this value creation process. If you are unhappy with the amount of money left over in your bank account at the end of the month, it is the market telling you that you haven't created enough value. The entrepreneur always leads by building value first. The entrepreneur always gets paid last. If you want more left over in your bank, go create more value. You will always capture a small percentage of that back. You will never sell a product where the customer views the price as outweighing the value. It's always the reverse. The value you provide always must outweigh the cost of purchasing that product, okay? AI-enhanced entrepreneurship is not a choice. People kick and scream when I start to say these things to them as we're analyzing their businesses, that we're going to have to redo your entire customer journey. We're going to have to reanalyze the way that you sell, market, and fulfill your product, because it's a lot of work. Sometimes people say to me, I had someone say to me last night, I'm too old for this. I don't want to do this. That's okay. That's a vote for the death of your business though. Not to be dramatic, but in 10 years' time, you aren't going to operate with the playbooks that you have today. Your customers' expectations are rising exponentially. And it only takes one or two people in your market to start making these leaps, where you are going to seem old and archaic very, very quickly. The value proposition isn't going to be there. In any of these moments of these transitions in an economy, we create a clear separation between the winners and the losers. There is always a seismic shift when the economy changes, when we build new technology that creates product possibilities that were previously impossible. And I like to illustrate how this economy is shifting with AI by looking, the previous age we're in, the information age. The invention of the computer, the invention of the internet really kicked off this age of business where we're dealing with data, spreadsheets, we're dealing with connecting with customers across the world globally, anywhere at any time. And the true winners of the information age, the people who created generational wealth, who had companies that scaled rapidly and did incredibly well, they had an enterprising idea. They had the ability to spot a painful problem that needed to be solved, but they needed to assemble capital and labor in order to do that. You needed to potentially raise some money, some finances to get a product built. You needed to hire a great team to sell, market, and build that product. And it was those people who could really cajole those three forces into their world. They could combine them and they could create incredible products, incredible services. As we shift into this new era, the intelligence era, as we start to have scalable, infinite intelligence that you can plug into your business, the game changes. We move from this world in which if you can't raise capital, you can't build a product that's going to create generational wealth, or it's very, very difficult to do so with a service-based business, right? It is less important than ever to have capital. You don't need to go and raise money and spend 9 months of your life trying to do that. You don't need a giant team. We've got teams of 5 and 10 people producing hundreds of millions of pounds worth of value and disrupting their markets. What you need is to be an incredible listener, an incredible investigative reporter who is looking for these burning hair problems, finding something that you think you could solve, and using the power of AI to spin out that landing page and test if people would buy it, to spin out that marketing asset and see if you can get people to click through on that, give you their contact details, and start to build a relationship with them. Vibe code that prototype of your product, present it to the market, and see if you can get traction. As we've gone through every age of the economy, right from the agricultural age, industrial revolution, to where we are now, the interesting thing is the barriers always decrease. The barriers for entry have never been lower. It is easier than ever before to start a company. It is easier than ever before to concept a wild new idea and present that to the market. That is good news. It is also bad news because it means you have more competition than ever before. Everyone can be a developer in today's age. So you have to really focus on getting things out of your head, being an enterprising person, presenting it to the market, and seeing if you can capitalize on that. I like to use the image of this dusty old guy to prove this point. This is an industrial age accountant. He's using an abacus, a pen, ink, and quill. He is doing manual entry bookkeeping in a dimly lit hall. It takes him weeks to tabulate the inputs and outputs of the factory that he's toiled his whole life for. How does this person compete with an information age accountant? Someone who has access to all of humanity's knowledge for free at their fingertips. How does this person compete with someone who can contact any of their customers around the world 24/7 for free? Who has access to Excel and cloud computational resources and can do thousands of calculations that would take this guy a week? If he turned up to your company today and pitched his accounting services with his abacus, you would laugh him out of the room because the value proposition is destroyed. It doesn't make sense to operate in this way. It's archaic, it's quaint. And we are going to view people who try to cling on to these playbooks that they're running today in the very same way. They're not going to make sense. They don't exist on the same plane of productivity. An intelligence era business in the next 20 years is not going to look anything like the information age businesses of today. It's going to become laughable that people could think they could even compete like this. So you must adapt because it will be this stark. And what's interesting with every new age that we enter, the adoption of technology gets faster and faster. Ray Kurzweil wrote about the singularity, this exponential moment of improvement that we are kind of entering into. Things are getting faster. Adoption is getting faster. Disruption is getting faster. And if you want to enjoy the current disruption that we are going through, you've got to ride the wave, which means you've got to dive in and reanalyze what you are doing and try to do things in a completely different way, because otherwise you are going to be outcompeted. You're going to be outwitted, but most importantly, you are going to be outproduced. The productivity gains that these businesses that become AI native have is going to be wild. You won't be able to compete with them on price. You won't be able to compete them on reach and capability. So it's not a choice. You either do this, or at some point your customers will end it for you. This might seem a bit doom and gloom, so let's cheer this up a little bit, because I'm not so doom and gloom. I think a lot of businesses will make this leap, and I think there is a lot of opportunity in this disruption. There's always opportunity in disruption. AI has a dirty secret. 90% of AI projects that MIT analyzed in their most recent study fail to get a return on investment. 90% of all of those big fancy investments into AI, the hiring of the chief AI operating officer or whatever title they've given themselves now, is a failure when you look at the pure economics of it. And I think the reason is for this, and I've seen these projects fail and blow up, is because we're trying to just throw AI on top of bad products and bad processes. Let's just use AI to do exactly what we were doing before, but we'll do it a bit faster, a bit cheaper, and it'll be great. But your customers don't want that. They want to be treated as individuals. They want different and unique experiences. And you have the ability to offer that if you analyze it in the right way. These businesses get obsessed about technology. They're trying in any way, shape, and form to build a moat with technology. If we get the state-of-the-art AI, if we just buy some more servers from NVIDIA, we're all going to be okay. I'm going to make a bold prediction. I don't think OpenAI is going to be in business in 10 years' time. I don't think they have a defensible position in the market. I think Google will probably be king. If you don't work in one of these companies, if you don't have access to technology that is not generally publicly available, the model is not your moat. Using better AI is not going to impress your customers more. The gains at this point are marginal. What fascinates me when we do work with our customers to build these agents and these moonshots that we are building, we often don't even use the state-of-the-art models because we can get just enough performance for what we need with the generation of technology past, which is 80, 90% cheaper. You don't need to obsess over technology. What you need to obsess over is how can we, as marketers, as entrepreneurs, build incredible context about our customers so that we can change our experiences fundamentally. Tokens are the new gold. This is all I am obsessed about generating for our customers when we are analyzing these experiences. These tokens are the unit economics of AI. It's what AI feeds on. It's how it essentially does. It is the input you give an AI in order to get it to create some content, create a report. Okay. These tokens, a lot of people are confused about this. So let's just make sure that everyone is on the same playing field. What is a token? You can essentially think of it as a chunk of a word. It's not right to say that it's a character. It's not right to say that it is a whole word. Sometimes it is. It is a system in which we could have can and not. Can is a common word, so that's one token. Not is a common word, so that's another token. So we put that together. We have two tokens for the word cannot. If you gather these tokens and they are linked to your customers, you store them in a way that your AI can access and use, you get to have the keys to the kingdom. You get to start to play the game of being an AI enhanced entrepreneur. Without these, you have general output, and we'll see why that is not a great place to be as we go into this. Context engines. This is the thing that you should be thinking about building in your business. There we go. I don't like when that happens. Most of you have unbelievable amounts of value stored within your business, and you are not using it for anything. I've been in meetings with lots of you in this room. You are followed around by plagues of call recorders, 3 or 4 at some time, like a plague of locusts. You are drowning in the data that is the requirement to build these marketing experiences for your customers. You have the call recordings and the transcripts. That is qualitative data that is rich in context about your customers, that if you fed to your AI and as you're having these, creating these outputs for your customers, would highly personalize that output, would tailor that output into something that they truly enjoy. We've got to get this data and we've got to get it in a usable format, but most of it exists in data graveyards. It goes into your SharePoint file. And I don't know if any of you have looked in there, but I've worked with a lot of businesses where we have to root through their SharePoint file. There's a lot of mess in there. People put files in, they never see them again. We've got to get that out of your SharePoint, get it out of your Google Drive, get it out of your Fathom and into a format that is usable by AI. Because if you don't do this, you suffer from this regression to the mean output. AI in its current form, or the very thin slice of AI that we all like to talk about, the large language models, we're getting statistically relevant outputs. We put tokens in and we get a statistically relevant token, a series of tokens out. That's the parlor trick. It allows us to do magic. It allows us to do some very incredibly interesting things, but that is what we are playing with. And if you don't build great context about your customers, you suffer from having the same outputs as everyone else. You can all tell that AI generated LinkedIn post. You can all tell that AI generated comment, because humans are incredible pattern recognizers. And so you have to build this context and statistically bias the output you're going to get from your AI model to be completely different from what they are seeing day in, day out from their interactions with everyone else. How do we do this? If we're going to build one of these engines, right? We have your customer, we have your contact, potentially if you want to go more granular and have multiple contacts within a company that you're building context around. It is your phone calls, call recordings and transcripts. It is the emails that you are sending back and forth. It is their responses to your surveys, your lead magnets and your assets. And we store those, we link them, we vectorize them around that customer. And once we have done that, we have bundled this information into a usable format for your AI. Your vector database is very, very, very important. People that are not technical, when I talk to them about vector database, their eyes start to go a little bit cross and they think, I don't really care about the details of this, but I think it is important to get, even if you are not a developer. This is the technology that is going to drive massive growth in personalized experiences over the next 5 to 10 years. A vector database, you take a document, you take a call transcript, for instance, and we chunk that up. We split that into paragraphs and we run those paragraphs through an algorithm that can basically detect the semantic value of that paragraph. It can tell you, does this paragraph talk about a sunset? Does it talk about a business problem? Are they moaning about their partner? Are they moaning about your product or service? And we can give that particular paragraph a very long string of number, which you kind of see here. It is a vector. It relates to a physical space. So a vector database is not like a traditional database. It doesn't have rows and columns. It is a 3D space that you are storing data in. And why is that relevant? Why is that interesting? Because this is the magic. This is how the magic happens. When you query your vector database, you run your query through the exact same algorithm that you've used to store and sort all of this disparate pieces of information. So when you say, give me John Smith's biggest problems, the AI vectorizes that query, sticks that query in a point of space, and we use something called highly navigable small world search. What the hell does that mean? We basically, just like this graphic is showing you, gather all of the little points of data up that exist around that query. They are relevant semantically to the request. So when you ask for problems, you get the problems. When you ask for their date of birth, well, that's stored in a certain location as well. This process is what allows your AI to produce world-class outputs. This is the stuff that when you do this really right, this will shock you at how good the output is. And it's impossible to do, or very difficult to do, with a custom GPT or a Claude project, something like that. It requires you to go deeper. You've got to set some infrastructure up to do this, but it does give you magical powers. The question that I ask all of our customers when we're looking at this is, if context is king, if getting these tokens and storing them in the right way, in a place that is accessible and usable by AI is so important, we have one mission as marketers. Our entire marketing funnel has to be focused on how do we generate conversations with our customers, because these conversations generate rich qualitative data where they will tell you their problems. They'll outline the symptoms they're facing. They'll tell you about the desired outcome, the desired state that they want. And that is rocket fuel for your agents as they personalize that experience through the rest of your customer journey. If you don't have this, you get bland, generic outputs. Context is king, and you generate context by having incredible conversations with your customers. That can be face-to-face, it can be online, it can be through forms, it can even be through other agents. But that's what we want to be thinking about. Once you have this data in this usable format, you need to build a personalization pipeline. The thing that we are thinking about a lot is your customers want to be treated as individuals. They don't want to be treated as a faceless mass, but that's how most businesses operate, because we have to make that choice, right? Do I want to be scalable, or do I want to remain small and as a white glove, high ticket service? That was the choice of the information age. Which one do you want to be, mass market or boutique? AI breaks that paradigm. You can be both. You could be high ticket, high touch, highly technical kind of business, right? And that's very, very exciting. These personalization pipelines, I kind of think of them in the abstract a little bit like this, okay? So you have your customer, and these little dots around it represent those vector data points stored in your vector database, clearly tagged and sorted so that it's findable and accessible in a good way by your AI. And you throw those pieces of data through your personalization pipeline. On the top here, you have your instance of an asset, okay? It's a template. Most people are very lazy when they work with their AIs. We've all done it. Produce me the report, write me the email. You give vague context to the AI, you give vague instructions to the AI, and therefore you get vague outputs from the AI. It's sometimes really good, sometimes really bad. What we recommend doing is you create a template, create 60% of the content, lock it down, lock its craziness down, and actually produce something that you are pretty happy with, and give the AI the opportunity to customize the rest of that document with that context. So you plug an AI into the sections of your document. If it's a slide deck, you give it one slide at a time to customize with that context. If it's a PDF, one page at a time. You don't want it trying to rewrite the whole document all at once. Use it in a fractal way. Use its full force on every aspect of that document so that it is like you have done your best work. And on the other side of that, you can output slide decks, PDFs, emails. That's fun. You can also do landing pages. You could have a website that is completely reactive to your customers. So something that we're working on quite intensely right now is, I'd never want to be sent a landing page again that has been written for one time and sent out to 10,000 people. I want to have a landing page that says my name, outlines my biggest pain points, and pitches to me why I should work with that business. That is possible with a personalization pipeline. The interesting thing about that, the second order consequences of doing that, is that analytics actually become usable. If any of you have tried to discern what the hell is going on your website with Google Analytics, it's like, it's a soup, right? We can kind of tell some interesting stuff. People seem to scroll 3/4 away down this page, but in the individual, the statistics don't matter. It doesn't matter to that individual customer. It's a generalization. But when you've built a personalization pipeline that spits out landing pages, for instance, you get analytics of one. You can see where that customer stopped. You can see which FAQ they hovered over. You can see if they clicked on the purchase button and then backed out of it. And then you can customize your interactions off of the back of that. This is what I'm talking about as a personalization pipeline. Personalize every single touch point. What do these things look like? I get asked this question all the time, which is always kind of strange to me, but people say, what does an agent look like? What does a personalization pipeline look like? Where does it live in my business? Well, it lives in these little weird diagrams that we build. If you've ever done marketing automation, you'll probably be familiar with these kind of views. This is a view of N8N. You have nodes. It does stuff. It's grabbing documents. You're doing things with those documents and you're putting it through your AI agent. Your AI agent has access to your vector database. Maybe you're being really fancy and you're using a re-ranker down there. to sort that vector database out for you. Okay, and then you're putting it back in the document, and then maybe you're shoving it in SharePoint and you're sending that email out. All right. This is what they look like. This is what you're going to have to build if you are wanting to play this game. And this is why you can't just do this with ChatGPT, because it's a highly orchestrated series of movements that the AI is going to make, and you're going to control the context that the AI has intensely. So personalization pipelines, very, very powerful when you set them up in your business. And this is the reason why. Google did an incredible piece of research, which I highly recommend you all read if you're marketing online, called The Messy Middle. It talks about buying behavior online and how do people actually arrive at making a purchasing decision for a business that they have encountered some content for, maybe watched a YouTube video, podcast, interacted with one of your lead magnets. What happens? They realize they have a problem. That content agitates the symptoms that they're facing, and they have a moment of realization. This is a problem. This is something that I want to solve. I want to get fitter. I want to find a relationship. I want to double the size of my business. Something sparks that realization. Once they see it as a problem, they can't unsee it. And they start this searching behavior. They start parking. I guarantee you've all got like 400 browser tabs open in your browser with products that you're definitely going to buy, that pair of jeans that you're definitely going to buy that you haven't looked at for 2 weeks. You just need to close it down. This is the messy middle. You get stuck in this infinite cycle. This is what happens to those people that join your wait list, that join your CRM, your newsletter, or your email contact database. They exist in this messy middle for a long time. They need to be nurtured. I know from some work that we've done with Dent Global that the average time of someone watching a podcast or some YouTube content from Daniel Priestley to being on a sales call with that company is 9 months. And they are world-class marketers. So we've got to give ourselves a break when we have people on our email list that haven't interacted with us a long time. It's a long game. We've got to be patient. We've got to build relationships with these customers and get them to a point where we've given so much value that the law of reciprocity kicks in and they want to jump on a call with you. Alan Dibb wrote an incredible book that I highly recommend you all read at some point in your life if you want to learn a little bit more about marketing, called The One-Page Marketing Plan. I think it was one of the first marketing books that I had ever read, but I quote it all the time. He talks about this mindset in this book between the hunter and the farmer. The marketer who is a hunter is using direct outreach systems to go and find a customer, kill that customer, bring it back to camp, we can feast out on it, great, right? That we've done our job as hunters at that point in time. It is effective. It's quick to get off the ground. You're not waiting 9 months when you are a hunter. You are getting sales quickly. It's probably how most businesses start, if I'm honest with you. But the scalable approach, the thing that's going to really drive your business to new heights that is more consistent, is becoming the farmer. The farmer plants the field. The farmer nurtures the field with water and nutrients and waits and waits and waits until that crop that they have planted is ready to be picked. Okay? Your nurture sequence within your business is the way you become a farmer. What happened in the information age, nurture sequences, and you've probably all got them in your businesses, we do 12 emails. We do 24 emails if we're feeling really ambitious, and we stick people down that funnel and they get one after the next, after the next. And if we're being really fancy, maybe we have multiple levels of that nurture sequence, but it's static. We've written that email once and we're going to send it to 10,000 people, and we're going to hope that it's going to resonate with 3, 4, 5% of them, so that we can convert them into being customers. But when you have a personalization pipeline, when you have a context engine running and you are building a picture up about your customers, you get to play a completely different game. You know which emails they opened. You know which landing pages they read and where they stopped. You know which videos they watched and how much they watched of it. And you are consistently generating conversations with your customers, so you are building deeper and deeper and deeper context about them. That lets you do something interesting. We don't need to have fixed nurture sequences anymore. You can build completely unique emails that you are sending out. You can build landing pages for one that is for them at their moment with the things that they have resonated with. And we've seen some examples of the businesses that we're working with that are doing this mainly with email at this point in time, to be honest. They're getting 20 to 30%, not open rates, close rates, as in becoming a customer off of these emails. 20 to 30%, that is wild. It's not going to last forever because it's going to become the norm. Your customers' expectations are going to rise. There is a window of opportunity. If you dive in now, you can get the 20 to 30%. When we did a voice sales agent, the first customers we run through that, they were mind blown about it. An AI has rung me and had a 15-minute conversation. This is amazing. In a year's time, that's probably going to be pretty annoying. This is the decreasing marginal utility at play again. Okay, so personalization pipelines, like how does it work in your marketing funnel? Because people always say, give me examples, Lee. This is all well and good, but it's kind of abstract. I know I need some infrastructure. I know to build context and use AI, but how do I do it? So we're working with a fashion newsletter at the minute. And I was a bit terrified when I took this sales call. So I was like, how the hell am I going to use AI to help this business grow? What came out of the conversation when we looked at how we 10x the value created for a customer, a subscriber of a fashion newsletter, is we realized that what she was doing when she was writing these letters is she's covering a trend, she's building a lookbook with affiliate links, and if anyone purchased through those affiliate links, she's cashing in on that. Great. But those customers, she has about 30,000 people on that newsletter list. Those customers are not the same people. They are individuals, but they all get the same email. And so what she started to do is use the context of what they click on and what they purchase to start to customize the offers within the newsletter, different outfits based on what they liked before, different items at different price points. If you know this is someone who goes shopping at Reese all the time, I'm going to send them out the most expensive links versus someone who only shops at H&M, right? The same email doesn't make sense to those people. And when you react like this, you increase the value for the customer. It becomes like she's writing an email for one person at a time. Working with a coach who does a lot of work around North Star visions at this point in time. He's very in demand. How the hell does he produce content that enables people to set their North Star vision, get into the nitty gritty of why they are stuck? So what we have built, or what we are building with Will Polston, is an AI agent that he directs people to off the back of his YouTube videos, off the back of his sales and marketing. They have a 15-minute conversation with this agent. It's trained on his methodology, his books, previous sales calls, and it gathers the context and spits out a North Star vision for that customer. But that's only the start of the journey. Then it starts to recommend the next step products, the mini tools that he has created. Maybe it books certain ones of them into a one-to-one conversation with him. And the cycle goes round. It's an incredible way to start the conversation and gather that context. This one I absolutely love. And if you live in East London, you'll know the agency pretty well. But this is a estate agency that we are working with. They have grown their business because they find the worst flats on the market. And they go in and they say, well, the flat on the left, there's no wonder you can't rent this out because look at it. There's no furniture in it. It's in a heavy young professionals area. They don't want to go to IKEA and buy a sofa. It looks awful and it looks dated. So you're not renting it. It's been empty. And they staged the properties. They put furniture in there. They put the same 6 paintings in every building. And people walk in there and they go, great, I'm now going to rent this and I'm going to pay over market rate because someone has staged this property. I'm going to pay more than this is worth based on the data in the local area. But it's hard to convince landlords to do this because there's an upfront cost. It's a risk. I just want to sell that house that I've rented out with no furniture in again, please. That would be lovely. So what they've done is created a tool where you can scan your room. It understands the items that you have got in stock, and it basically creates these AI images of here's what your room could look like, and it analyzes the local data, rental data, and starts to say here's the delta between what we think based on previous sales you could be making versus what you are making. And this is an internal tool for their team, but they're now going to be putting that on their website, putting it out in their content for landlords to use. And they're going to start building these conversation engines into this pipeline. So not only can you stage your property, you can start to ask and have questions and answers about why you've struggled, what you think the rate might be, what the price is. Then they can do the follow-up, and now they're scaling at a rapid clip. Sales is an interesting one. If you're a great marketer, you know that marketing does not stop when someone signs on the dotted line and gives you some money. A lot of businesses do this, and they are poorer for it. You should always be marketing to your prospects, your customers. Always market to them. Cross-sell, upsell, downsell, whatever. Sell all the time. We're working with a incredible entrepreneur, incredible animator at Visual Fusion. He does technically complex animations of products that are hard to explain. They're inventions that you need to see working in order to have it drive sales. And he helps people raise money to get these inventions off the ground, and he helps them understand how they're going to visualize their product in order to do this. Okay, I was watching Glass Onion, and a tip here for innovation: just steal ideas from everywhere, anywhere that you can. I was watching Glass Onion, and there's that point where he has that napkin that comes up, and he says it's the master plan of how we're going to put this business together and make incredible amounts of money. So what Paul now does is he has a call with his customers. He used to charge about $5,000 just to do the storyboard of an animation he might do. He charges $50,000 plus for these animations, right? They're expensive to do. He now has an incredibly in-depth conversation with his customers. He is there, he is present, he is sketching away, and he knows if he can get the key visual down on his napkin sketch that captures their idea, it's going to blow them away. But the AI assistant in the background is taking all of those tokens, all of that context, and it is building out the entire sales pitch deck, storyboard, and marketing plan for this animation in his Clarity framework. He has so many animation opportunities, he cannot keep up at this point in time because he has done something net new. This isn't the old playbook slightly accelerated. This is something he used to charge for that now he markets for free. And most people struggle with their marketing. They struggle to get traction because, quite frankly, what they're marketing isn't great. Go and 10x the value, and distribution will sort itself. If you've ever read the book, The Almanac of Naval Ravikant, he talks about this. Distribution is only a problem if your product is bad. And I agree with him wholeheartedly. This is an interesting project, and I was feeling a bit spicy when I took this customer call. This is an organization that helps late stage career changers get back into university, maybe do a master's degree, switch their focus. And I started the call by saying, your prospectuses are shit. These are crap. Because what they do is you print them once, they contain a smattering of courses that kind of could be valuable to anyone. They talk about university life in general. It's the information age way of doing a university prospectus. It has to be spray and pray. Let's hope it resonates with someone. And if we just get enough scale in this thing, we're good to go. They are switching their entire sales and marketing process to have one objective: get that potential career switcher into a one-to-one call with their career advisor. Build incredible context around that person. Why do they want to potentially go back to university? Why do they want a master's? What's driving that? What's the feeling, the fear, the hope, the aspiration? Give them clarity. And on the back of that, let's build a completely personalized prospectus. I don't want to see your illustration course if you're looking to go and study machine learning at Hertfordshire University. It's not relevant. Don't show me it. I don't want to learn about life on campus and all of your sports societies if I couldn't think of anything worse than that and I just want to go party in the student union, let's say, right? I want that to be tailored to the experience that I want from university. And it's not that difficult to do this. This is what I mean by net new. Don't just accelerate the old. Think about how you change the entire sales process in order to deliver on this, okay? So what are you going to need to build if you want to play this game? Because it requires technology to be built. It requires infrastructure to be built within your business. You're going to have a decision to make. If you're the business owner or you're a marketer with a budget, you get to choose. Do you build or buy this? When people come to me a lot with these requests of, content agents, I'm like, why don't you just buy any of these SaaS products that will just spit out AI content for you forever? Why are you investing? It's not the core point of your business. And what I will say to you all, build around the core IP of your business, accelerate that with AI, buy everything that's kind of tertiary to what you do, because this builds enterprise value, okay? If you want to play this game, you're going to need a vector database. It's probably going to be one of these two. There's others. They do more specialized things. You probably don't need to know about them. It's going to be one of these two. You've got PG Vector here on the left or Pinecone. You set these things up and you start pumping data into it from your embeddings models. It will vectorize that content. It will store that content. And it's going to be an absolute workhorse for your business over the next 10 years. I love setting these things up because when we do this with businesses and they start to chat with their data, you can do something very simple. Vectorize all of their data, give them a chat window. They start talking and chatting with their data. They get unbelievable insights about their customers and they go, this is the best thing that we've ever done. These are great to set up. If you're going to want a personalization pipeline, you're going to need an agent orchestration platform. You're going to need some way to command your AIs in a very specific way, step by step by step. Do this, do that, and give them system prompts that are relevant to the kind of work that you're trying to do. If you're feeling brave and you want to go full force, full power, something like LangGraph is going to be for you. It's code. It's annoying. We are building a lot of these at the minute. They drive me nuts. LangGraph is fun. It's very powerful though. Most businesses that we work with rest on NAN. This is a really nice agent orchestration platform. There's a learning curve to it. If you're going to try and build these things yourself, prepare to watch a lot of YouTube videos. I've spent many a night till 2 a.m. banging my head on the keyboard saying, I don't understand why this isn't working. It is a fun product to get your head around. You've got Pydantic, Crew AI, and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of others that are rapidly expanding in this space all of the time. You're going to need to connect these two together. Your vector database must be connected to your agent platforms. And when you do that, when you have that connection, your data is stored in an accessible way, and we can start to chat with the data. You're going to need a prompt engineering, prompt refinement process. This is gold. Most of the work that we do when we build an AI product with people, it's very easy to demo the product. We can blow their minds with 2 hours worth of work. We cannot blow their minds when we install it into their business after those same 2 hours of work, and it breaks all the time and it hallucinates and it goes crazy and it doesn't do what we want it to do. So you've got to have a prompt engineering process. You're going to do your initial prompts. You're going to have to structure that prompt in a really great way. I highly encourage you to look into few-shot learning and the power that will get you. So give your AI examples of what you want out. It really improves the performance. You're going to have to delete a lot of tokens. So that's information density. And then if you're really being an engineer about this, you're going to do a Monte Carlo analysis on your prompts. Don't just change your prompts on a whim. Save the version, install the new version, test them side by side and see which one actually got you a result. We have a lot of customers that we let change these prompts, and I regret it every single time because they change a couple of words, the output degrades, and we have to go back and work out what exactly caused that degradation. Okay, so you know what these look like now. What does this cost? If you're going to work with an agency to do these things, there's a lot of people in this space now. The people who were NFT experts are now AI experts, which is real fun, right? So be careful who you work with, make sure they've actually built stuff and look at what they've built, interview some of their customers. I'd highly recommend. We've rescued some horror show projects. you're looking at 4,500 plus per agent, depending on the complexity. Sometimes a little bit less, sometimes quite a bit more, but roughly ballpark that. Your subscription costs, if you're looking at NAN, you've got Pinecone, and maybe you've got a re-ranker in there, something like that, you're looking at 200 quid a month. Your AI costs, depending on your scale, 100 quid, maybe more, maybe less, depending on what you're doing with it. And your timeline is 4 to 8 weeks. That timeline is really, really, really important. Speed is great. But as I said, AI and these personalization pipelines is not a capabilities problem. It's easy to make these things. It's very easy. What is very hard is to make them work 99.9999% of the time, the long tail of the night. This is why Tesla's self-driving car still isn't at full general release. Like, it's very hard to do this, right? The gap between pilot and production is vast. Do not be fooled by the pretty tech demo, because it probably won't be ready to work yet in your business. You've got to have a pilot process. You've got to test it. What's your benchmark? How do you level this up? How do you measure success? Sometimes it's very hard to measure that success. That is a serious problem, but mind that gap. You have to mind this gap, because this is what ends up happening. Most people that try to build these things themselves, that aren't technical, that don't love the challenge of engineering and reliability engineering, they build something and it kind of works. And they have something that looks a little bit like this on the left. It's an unfinished piece of work. It doesn't do anything for the business. It's not remarkable. It doesn't create value. It doesn't work repeatedly. It's basically wasted effort. It's a half-built bridge to nowhere. On the left, we have the finished masterpiece, refined and hardened over time. It draws in crowds of millions from around the world, right? You need to be channeling your inner Michelangelo and finishing these things off and pushing it to completion. If you're anything like me, that's the hard part. The idea is fun. The details aren't so much, but it is an engineering process that you need to go into. This is why we have built context engines, because quite frankly, these things are a pain to set up. They require you to learn a lot and to have a lot of infrastructure set up into your business, okay? So Context Engines AI is a product that gives you a vector database. It is like a Canva where you can design any document that you can think of in any style that you want. That is AI native. It is not built like the document sharing systems of old. The Google Doc is designed to be written once and shared thousands of times. Ours works on an instance basis. You design it once, and then the AI that you drop on top of every section of that document customizes it to an asset that you can share individually to your customers. This is roughly what it looks like. We'll be doing product demos of this towards the start of next year, but we're looking for beta testers. We're looking for people to join our waitlist. And the first 5 people in this room today who scan this link and sign up, we will work with you one-to-one to design a document, to design your agent pipeline, to build your vector database and store some information in it so that you can use it. And you are going to work with us in return for us to be able to refine this product and get it towards a general release in 2026.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hopefully you found that useful. If you did, YouTube thinks you will like these videos next.